This is a regular meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court, Thursday, the 7th day of November, 2013. It's now 8:30 a.m. As we do, we will start with a brief moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. And I'd like to ask Jennifer Garcia, who is here with Leadership Brownsville, to lead us in those two pledges right after the moment of silence. Please rise. Jennifer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Jennifer. Public comment? Consent?
I've got one public comment.
Okay.
Yesterday, my parents celebrated 45 years of marriage, so I just want to say, Mom, Dad, congratulations, good job.
Okay. Okay. Consent items, I've been asked to table item H. On item double F, pull out to discuss.
And on item L, just to make that one correction, please.
On item L, change that from precinct 4 to precinct 3.
Can you pull out item D, please?
Pull out item D for discussion.
Judge, on X, we have a correction.
2014, right?
Yes. It should be FY 2014.
All right. Anything else?
Pull out for discussion on item G. Double P and triple B.
Anything else? If not, do I hear a motion to approve consent items with the exception of those that will be either tabled, pulled out, and with the modifications?
So
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item D, consider it.
Judge, excuse
Yes.
me. Please note my abstention on double C.
Okay. Please note Commissioner Benavides' abstention. Item D, consideration approval of contract between Cameron County and Dr. Elizabeth Miller for Cameron County forensic pathologist. David?
Judge, Commissioners, this item is, you should have a copy of the contract in front of you. This is the new contract that we've been working on with legal and with the pathologist's attorney. And the items that are highlighted in yellow on this contract are the items that have been modified or edited. On the first recital, 1, we changed that or modified it where it says the pathologist will be available Monday through Friday with the exception of vacation, seminar, sick leaves, or emergency leave. And she'll be available on weekends on an as-needed basis, subject to vacation, seminar, sick leave, or emergency leave. Item number 2, we changed the zip code. On the services, liability, and indemnity on the second page, pathologist agrees at the county's expense, and here's where I want to make sure I had your direction. We had discussed it earlier, but I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. At the county's expense to make arrangements for professional liability insurance as a personal protection from any claims. Pathologist will indemnify and hold county harmless for any such claims.
So Dave, just as a question, I think this came up yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Not only are we paying her whatever it is, we have to cover her liability insurance as well? Her malpractice insurance?
That's part of the contract agreement, yes, sir.
And how much is it?
It's going to be in the range of about $10,000.
Okay.
annually.
No more than?
No more than, yes, sir.
Okay.
Also, is it cheaper for her to get the insurance than for us to go out and secure the policy? Would it be cheaper? Could we not do it cheaper?
I think it's the same amount.
The
if
same
I'm not-
amount?
Yes, it is the same amount.
Okay.
All right?
And the coverage is what?
600,000 aggregate, 200,000 per occurrence?
I believe that's what it is.
Now, she
Yes,
is,
that's on page,
she's considered an
6.
independent contractor, correct?
Yes.
And just so we know, we do not do, let me ask the question, do we normally pay for liability insurance for independent contractors?
Legal.
Okay. So we're making an exception.
I believe Bruce and Dilby had the discussion.
We have not paid, we can pay as a contractor, but we have not paid for anybody else's in the past.
That was part of the negotiations with them.
Okay.
We would cover the insurance.
All right. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay, and on page 5, the term is going to be a 3-year term with a possible renewal of an additional 2-year term. And then on 7, compensation, we had monthly there. The doctor requested biweekly payments. And then, again, on page 6, the insurance, the liability insurance, and that's where it has the amounts, 200,000 and 600,000 aggregate. And then the termination is a 90-day out. Just want to make sure that court had those details before we approve it.
So it's not 60, it's 90 days?
Correct.
Well, one thing that I would suggest is if there's a 90-day out on her part, that we put in language that if she cancels it, that she reimburse us for the insurance. In other words, if at the beginning of the year we buy her insurance and 90 days out she decides to get out, I mean, we need to be able to recapture insurance that we're paying for, I think.
I
At a
think that
minimum,
would be a
the-
problem.
At a
If
minimum,
it's
the,
her canceling, not necessarily, if
Yeah.
it's us canceling, then it's on us, I
on a
think.
prorated basis. Now, the only other question I have, and maybe Marta had look at it, this is an independent contractor that we're paying liability insurance for. We're her only client. And just make sure that we do not get into an employer-employee relationship with her.
One other thing I would suggest here is that she be responsible for paying it, give us the amount she paid, and then us reimburse her. Because that right there, what he's talking about, could take effect. And then the other thing is, if for whatever reason our check doesn't go out or whatever happens, she can suspend services based on that. And I think it's better if she pays it, gives us the bill, and then we reimburse her.
Okay, yeah, she's here, I mean, I think she can answer that, but we had that discussion, and, you know, that's the way we added it. And Martha and I actually had the same discussion, where she would pay, and then we would reimburse her for that payment, and.
So there's no problem with this?
So there's no problem with that then?
Okay.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve
With those conditions?
with those conditions, and just verify the employer-employee relationship versus independent contractor?
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Sanchez. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, carries. Item G, consideration and approval for the purchase of a 65 E-Pole book election transport. Who pulled that?
I did.
Chris?
Excuse me.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning. What is that?
That is just an addition of, we're using laptops now at each one of the polling places to qualify voters. We started using them. We acquired all of them through chapter, either HAVA funding or I believe HAVA funding, September of last year. My predecessor did. At the time, we were giving them a laptop, the accessories, all kind of jumbled together in bins. Some of our poll workers are retired, a little elderly, and they may be technology averse, so we've been
Technology
obtaining
challenged.
cases. Challenged averse. We get cases now where everything sits in the cases, all the peripherals, the label printer, their scanners, their mouse. They just open up the case, plug it in, and get rolling. We have about 50. We used them in the May elections. It significantly reduces the confusion of our workers, and this is just another item where we're getting more for the primaries because we're going to probably need to use up all 120 of our laptops at the polling locations, whether Democrat or Republican primary, to use in qualifying voters.
Okay.
So it's basically more of the same,
More of the same.
yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed,
Aye.
carries. Item double F, Administrative Services Office Staff, Civil Service Coordinator. Arnold, just a clarification, correct? Or to add something?
It's just to add, the travel's already been approved, but it's just to add the mileage to that, the amount of $285.12.
Okay. With that addition, anything else? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve? Move to approve. By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, carries. Double P, Historical Commission Office Staff, Sesquicentennial Committee, Chairman Wilson to travel to Hempstead, Texas. Question?
Yeah, it said that he's going to be a vendor in the backup. And I just wanted.
Wilson?
I don't know, it just said vendor, so I thought, why are we a vendor?
Commissioners, Judge, sorry for the delay. The title of vendor is given by Lindo Plantation. One of our benefactors is paying for the entry fee of that. This benefactor, who would like to remain nameless at this time, is wanting to promote Cameron County and the historical endeavors of the Historical Commission. That being said, that is the reason why it was placed as a vendor, only by title. We won't be selling anything other than information of Cameron County, all of our museums, all of our parks, our beaches, everything else.
Okay.
But you won't be selling it. You're going to be selling what?
Well, I'll be selling us, Cameron County.
Okay, but you're not selling a product.
Oh, no, sir.
Okay,
No, sir.
all right, I
Just
think that was the confusion.
So you're
Brochures.
an exhibitor then?
Yes, brochures and stickers is all we have to give out.
Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, carries. Triple B, approval of lease agreement between Texas Department of Motor Vehicle and Cameron County. Tony?
That one I pulled because I saw some language in there that they wanted to pull a station from Harlingen in the backup.
Yes, sir.
And so my question was, are you going to be pulling from Harlingen and then getting an additional one in Olmito?
Exactly, and TxDOT does not lease to any private vendors. It leases to the county, and then in return, we lease it to the vendor, and it'll be paid by the vendor at the new location.
Okay, and I guess my only concern there is when I was looking at the backup, is the lease with TxDOT for the year or is it on a monthly basis?
No, for the year.
Okay. And I saw in the contract with the vendor that they have a 30-day out.
Exactly.
So can we put some language in there that if they take that 30-day out, then they still have to pay the annual lease? There's no reimbursement?
That's one of the requirements in the contract, that once they pay, they're not going to get a refund.
Okay, that is in there, because I didn't see it, and I just wanted to make sure they're not
Oh, yeah,
going to try to come back and say, hey, you owe us money.
No, it's understanding, it's in the contract, and they've been told since the beginning on the other two locations, if they close shop, that's it.
Okay, so as long as it's in there somewhere, because
Yes.
if they were to close, we're stuck with the bill
Yes.
if they want a reimbursement.
No, we get paid up front.
Right, but if they come back and say, hey, we only used it 2 months.
Right.
You need to reimburse
I
us,
understand.
Is that in there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Do I
right.
hear a motion by Commissioner Sanchez? Do
So
I hear a
moved.
second?
Second.
By Commissioner Hernandez. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, carries. I'm going to want to take a couple of items out of order because I have to leave for a few minutes. Let me take the sidewalk issue. Ernesto, this is item F, consideration and possible action regarding installation of concrete sidewalks on subdivision development within the county. Talk to us about what y'all came up with.
Morning, Commissioner, Judge, Commissioners, good morning.
Morning.
We're here this morning to present that agenda item on installation of concrete sidewalks on proposed subdivisions. We did have, in your packet of information, there should be a workshop agenda, some topics of discussion. There were two options that we discussed there. We did discuss streetlights also, which this is not part of this discussion, but we did discuss it there, and I think that's going to proceed forward. The two main things that we discussed there were those two options that you all wanted us to come back. And basically, from the developer's side, there's still opposition, Judge and Commissioners. I'm saying opposition, they're not in agreement with, at this point, with the installation of concrete sidewalks. That's their opinion, and I said, well, we'll discuss it with the Commissioners and the Judge, and so that's why we're here this morning. Option one, basically, if you look at your summary of the workshop, basically, it tells you there,
Yeah, Ernesto, just, I think we've been down this path. Can you just go to the recommendations that,
Yes, sir.
that you're going to make? Because,
so basically, there's two options right now that are in front of you. There was a third option offered and discussed that Jack Brown brought up, and basically what that is that we do an extension of the roadway system, which instead of being a 25-foot road, we do a 30-foot paved road, leaving 5 feet, striped 5 feet, being a pedestrian lane, call it a pedestrian lane, and that could be used as a walkway or a walk path for pedestrians. The only situation there is that there is some liability because it is in the roadway, and again, that's something that legal would tell you a little bit more if that's okay or not, but basically that's what it is. A third option would have been that if you want to put a lot frontage on it, say lots that are 75 subdivision front lots that have less than 75 feet, the developer will still have the responsibility of installing sidewalks. If it's more than 75 feet fronts, then you will use the striped lane. The fourth option, which I discussed a little bit with Commissioner Garza yesterday, and this is something that came up, was that, well, let's do away with all the concrete sidewalk requirements and just do a 5-foot lane on all subdivisions that come up at this point. And I said, well, that's something to consider, and so that's what we're putting in front of the Commissioners and you, Judge, to see if those options or any of those options are viable to you. I don't have any, as far from the engineering point of view, I don't have any problem either way. You know, I think that option 4 might be a good recommendation, but if you want to limit it yet and install sidewalks, then that option 3, which I think Alex already passed out, indicates that, just that lot frontage. And basically, that's it. I
would this
take
be for
questions.
all subdivisions or after a certain number?
No, for all, well, from the effective date, all subdivisions.
No, I'm talking about the number of lots within a subdivision. Is it for any subdivision that
Any
goes up?
subdivision.
Well, we talked
The fourth
about
option.
5 lots,
Oh, well, yeah, subdivisions that are,
5 lots or more.
5 lots or
Or
more,
4 lots or less do not have to comply
you're not
with
applicable
this.
either way, lane or concrete.
So 5 and above, so the issue before us, do we want to support the expanding of a roadway that can use as a sidewalk / bicycle lane,
Pedestrian
whatever it is?
lane, yeah.
I guess the only, and you know, and Brownsville's doing that a lot. They're taking a lot of their residential streets and basically carving out a bike lane.
bike lane.
I've seen it in some of the neighborhoods now.
Yes, sir.
Again, my only concern that may come up, and I think you kind of touched on it, would be the potential liability of somebody walking, unless it's real, I don't know, I don't know how you're going to safeguard somebody walking on the perimeter of the street. I don't know.
You don't.
You can't.
I mean, if you don't have a side.
Yeah, the sidewalk is the only way, and even then.
Existing
Yeah.
subdivisions now, everybody uses the
The
roadway to
roadway,
walk.
yeah,
you
because
know?
they don't walk on the shoulders for sure, because they are sloped a little bit in there. And so, the liability is still there that something could happen, they may fall or something. But then you move it to the roadway, which you do have vehicle traffic, then it just changes it a little bit, but then it's always going to be there.
Yeah, but you have bicycle lanes, you have pedestrian lanes in cities and towns, everywhere.
And we'll put the proper signage, stripe the center line of the roadway so they know that there's 2 lanes, and then stripe a solid stripe on separating the roadway from the pedestrian lane
Why can't we do that now?
on one side.
Why can't we do that now, the striping? I've asked for striping before, and they said,
No,
no,
we don't have it in our policy, we
Well,
can add.
But we should,
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with option 4. I think it's, even newer neighborhoods in the city of Brownsville, I don't know how it is in San Diego and Harlingen, but many of these neighborhoods do not have sidewalks. None of them do.
And they add,
And they add them, if they've added bicycle lanes and made the streets wider. I think that, to me, that's the best option. The light issue, I think, I support 100%. The sidewalks is like putting a horse before the cart. I really think we're way ahead of ourselves. That's just my personal opinion.
the other issue that we discussed was the maintenance aspect of it.
Yeah.
We're already maintaining, roadways that are built as a roadway. So the maintenance of a 5-foot width roadway, would be much easier for us than maintaining a sidewalk that's made out of concrete.
And then after it'll go with the road system. Once the warranty is expired, then we'll inspect it quarterly and all that before we.
Okay, so a couple of things. One, we're looking at expanding to 30 feet. And we're talking about striping 5 feet
5 feet.
on one side.
On one side.
Correct? We're talking about,
Just on one side or both?
On one side, because we don't have the right-of-way. What actually will happen is we'll center the 30-foot road on the right-of-way, and then we'll have a
2.5.
12-foot lane, a 5-foot lane. See what I'm saying?
well, you can't center it.
So it kind of be skewed a little
It'd
bit,
be off-centered,
off-center.
It would be off-center because you
But
need
the
5
main road will
feet.
be,
not like that.
yeah. I guess what I'm saying,
Right.
we still have to look for bar ditch
Okay, there's
and
a couple
all
of
that.
things I think that you may want to consider, the court need to consider. I would strongly, we don't have a policy in terms of where to install speed humps, correct?
No.
We do have policy for,
But we don't do it.
right?
But we don't.
Unless they're
Unless it was
requested.
unless they're-
I think that if we're going to start doing this, in order to add an additional safety measure, is to install speed humps. Have the developer install speed humps, whatever, I don't know, to keep cars from, from obviously driving at a high rate of speed. That'll slow them down, and that adds a little bit more safety to anybody walking along that
well,
roadway.
we could incorporate that.
Okay, well,
through all the roadways.
I would like to see that, and I think you need to come up with every,
Well, we'll
100
look at the
feet or
design criteria, see how much.
whatever it is.
Whatever distance is,
okay, all right?
it'll be
Okay.
a little bit more cost, but I think it'll be more
That's,
safer.
that's their deal. I think that the compromise is that, we're not installing concrete sidewalks, but we are giving people an opportunity to walk, but at the same time, because some of these subdivisions may not have the adequate lighting, let's install speed humps as well.
And then, of course, the street lighting will come up after the
Speed
next
humps are
time,
fine.
So you'll have more lighting
Right.
on subdivision.
Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Speed humps?
Yeah.
All right,
So
okay.
Okay.
Now, do we have to have a public hearing to add
For-
that to the, or can we do it now?
Oh, we can do it now. We have a public hearing to add the speed humps.
Oh, no, but for this, I guess what's going to happen is since it is a change to the subdivision rules and regulations, we do need to have a public hearing, and Dilby can tell me.
Then set it up. But I think
the
that's
next
the.
time, and there'll be an
but-
order
But
for it.
instead of, we need option 4, and it needs to be, it
It'll
can't
be
be
deleted
concrete
because a lot of
sidewalks.
that
It's gotta
doesn't
be
pertain to that. Yes,
Expansion
sir.
of roadway or something.
Okay.
It'll
we'll
be
just-
void, null and void, those that doesn't.
Pedestrian lane?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, pedestrian lane,
Pedestrian lane.
Exactly.
Pedestrian lane, stripe, pedestrian lane.
right.
And then we'll put some signage and even add a little bit to the policy that you'll restrict parking. Nobody should park on that lane. It'll be only for pedestrians.
Right.
Because people will probably tend to park on that extra 5 feet.
Okay,
The
so you get,
constable can then
so then you're
cite
gonna,
them.
so then you're gonna bring it back to us?
And in the form of an order,
Okay.
because then it'll be advertised and public.
Okay, so the only
comment.
thing that you're adding to the option is the speed humps,
Correct.
correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And there would be no exceptions?
No exceptions,
Correct.
and we'll put it as part of the order.
Okay, all right, okay. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. I will have to excuse myself for a little while, and let me take that to budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary
Judge,
schedules.
before you leave,
Yes,
can
sir.
I ask you to take up something?
Sure,
H,
okay.
real quick. you
Okay,
know,
item H, discussion and possible action on an amendment to clarify the dune protection permit date, December 21st, 2010, for Seabreeze Estates, Larry Mark Polsky.
I'd like to move that we table this item and not even discuss it. It's already been taken care of.
Okay, do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Okay. Move.
Yeah, 4C in executive session, which is directly related to this one.
4C,
Do we have to open executive? Well, we can table that
This
one
is,
later.
Judge, this is one that I asked you to take up after
Yeah.
executive session, so
yeah, that's item H, no?
H.
Yeah.
Right,
We'll
after
table
executive
4C
session.
later.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Action items, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. You have the budget amendments that were placed in front of you. The first one is a budget amendment for the Sheriff's Department for Department of Justice forfeitures. They're putting a budget there to utilize those funds. The next one is a JAG grant that has been received for $20,000, and that's the budget setup. And the other one is the old records retrieval. There is a change on that one. On Department 100-4041, which is the old records retrieval, budget is being set up in data processing for $263,050. That's a $100,000 increase. And the revenue shows a $100,000 increase as well. And what that is Mr. Rivera is using fund balance reserve that he has for records retention, for record retrieval rather. So he is utilizing fund balance that he has reserved. And I need to,
And that money's restricted for that purpose, right?
yes, correct. And he is also utilizing in the records management in department, and this one I am adding, it's 100-4040, which is the other records management reserve. He is utilizing $18,000 worth of fund balance in there that is going in line item 6077, which is data processing. And the revenue is also going up by the $18,000. And they are both utilization of fund balance that he has reserved, restricted for records management. And line item transfers, the first one is for JP 2-2, an increase in the line item for bonds of $142. And that is being funded by reducing the education and training and office supplies. JP 4 is increasing education and training by $50. Purchasing, increase in equipment rental by $210. The other page is for the Extension Office, Public Works, Operations, Stone Garden, increase in revenue, grant funding of $160,000. The other one is for South Texas HIDA, South Texas Intel Center, the director's budget. And the next page is for the Health Department. You've got 1, 2, 3 line item transfers for the Health Department. One is for the DA's office in a new funding revenue of $648,000. The other one is for records management as well. I believe that.
Why is like the DA one, you know, all of the other ones are like zeros?
Yes.
That particular one is like 704,474.
I see that.
I mean, shouldn't it be a zero?
Yeah, it should be a zero effect. The revenue needs to reflect a $19,635 increase.
So it should zero out.
It should zero out, yeah. And
Okay.
what that is the DA's office will be renting, in the equipment rental, they'll be renting their own vehicles, and Brownsville PD is going to reimburse that,
Okay,
to show that should zero out.
okay.
And then you've got the one for records management. I need to look at the one for records management and verify that, because it's a $136,000 increase, and I believe that is what the change was in the budget amendment that I just referred to, where he's utilizing fund balance reserve.
Joe's right there.
Oh, you're here. I think that's a double up.
Okay.
We have, let me just show you we have this budget amendment, which you gave us first.
Yes.
Okay, and then over here, we have this one as well, which is records management, an increase you're using fund balance of 136,000. You're only using you're using 100,000 fund balance, and you're using 18,000.
Correct.
Not this one.
One is my plotter that's badly needed in our operation. Ours that we had just went kaput, and we have an opportunity to buy one at a real good price. That one is, and then we want to transfer the other 100,000 so we can do old records. I'm happy to report that we're collecting about 80,000 a month on those two funds, which will help us a lot in not only, like for example, the repair and the remodeling of the San Benito building, and also to do the old records.
I want to commend you on all the great work you're doing with that. I think that you're probably a leader in Texas in record preservation. So keep up the great work.
We're way ahead of the curve, and thanks to Commissioner's Court and our county auditor that works real close with us, so that we can direct those funds to where they really belong. So again, Martha, thank you very much for your help, and thank you so much for your cooperation.
Thank you.
Was that it?
Yes, that's it.
I did have one question, Martha, on the Public Works. You're putting 3,000 into dues? Is that correct? Dues and memberships?
Yes.
What is that for?
I believe Public Works is here. No, they are not. It must be to pay, I can look at it and send you an email. It's probably to pay dues that they need to pay for particular needs that they have.
Okay. And that just
But they
hadn't
usually
been
substantial.
budgeted, or it was just an increase this year?
No, it was at zero. It had not been budgeted.
Okay. All right.
So I'll send you confirmation on that.
Thank you.
That's all.
So you
Move to
recommend?
approve.
There's
Second.
one item, 190-4360 with the 684,000. Are you going to leave that one show that as a correction, with the correction?
Yeah, zero out.
Zero out? Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Garza, a second by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Go ahead, Martha. I'll
the
find my
next-
agenda.
Claims?
The claims,
claims, go ahead.
the claims, okay. The claims, warrants number 310663 through 311076, warrants number 311081 through, excuse me, through 311206, payroll dated November the 8th for $1,696,732.34, and ACH medical claims for $483,948.29. For your approval.
You recommend approval?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Benavides,
Second.
second by Commissioner Garza. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
One question, and this more of curiosity, on what's border health and issues?
Border health,
Issues, maybe is the
That's-
health department here?
that's one of the funds, yes.
One of the what?
One of the health funds,
Yeah, but
The actual-
who do we, I mean, usually we get funding, we don't pay out funding.
What claim number is that, Commissioner?
It's on the third page of the first set where it starts with 3B. It's, let's see, 310728. I'm gonna have that surgery one of these days so I can read without glasses.
Me too.
It's wonderful. You
Very
need to do it.
soon, for Christmas, you know. Give that to myself.
It's a transfer of funds.
Because even with these things, man. And it's,
Claim 310728?
no, 768,
Oh, I'm sorry.
border health issues.
768.
It is-
It's probably a transfer of funds.
Just a transfer?
Yes, we're transferring funds that were received in the WIC fund of $87,967.98 to the Border Health Issue Fund. They were received in the WIC department and.
And then transferred over, so it's just a transfer within our own?
Correct,
okay.
yes.
Not a problem, it just says, who are we paying here, man? If it goes to the county?
One thing that I also wanted to ask the court, as you're aware, as the checks are being, as the claims are being processed, you all are receiving an email. You're receiving the check registers via email. And on the check registers that are run on the week of the meeting, do you want copies presented to you here in front of you as well, or will email suffice? For the checks that are, because sometimes we process manual claims and they're done on that actual meeting day, and those we can place in front of you. But do you want copies of the other ones as well for claims
It'll
processed
save
on
a lot
the?
of paper, right?
It's just
as
throw
not
away
have it.
for-
We'll save paper, yes, I just,
Then just
Well,
email them.
that's what I use this for. I mean, sometimes I'll be here looking at stuff
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at emails you sent us or
I'd rather get them electronically, except for the
ones on that-
to do
Yes.
like
on the
On that
day
day.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot easier for everybody.
we'll make that change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Martha, I do have a question here. I know you distinguish old year and new year on the claims,
Yes.
and that just brings up a question on lapsed salaries from last year. The total, has that already been budgeted, or did that go into fund balance?
That goes into fund balance
Okay.
for
And-
the FY '13 year.
For 13, and do we know how much that was?
We don't know yet. We just closed the old year with the last AP run yesterday. Normally, what we use the lab salaries for at the end of the year is we use those budgeted funds to cover cost overruns in particular line items. Whatever is not utilized, it will roll into fund balance, and we do not know what that is yet.
Okay, at the next meeting, can you bring that amount up and particularly put an item on the interpreter? Because I know there's been, the last 2 years, a vacant spot at the courthouse because there's a position for interpreter, but no one will apply for it because of the pay. And so if you could bring that one up so we can look at it and see how much came back in and if we can look at that.
Well, if it's been vacant for 2 years, that'll be eliminated.
I believe the one that's been vacant are you talking about the one for the trial courts?
Where Virginia was in?
The one for the trial courts?
Yes.
That vacancy has been filled at best I am aware of.
But
Dilbia?
now Judge Betancourt lost hers. I think that's what happened.
It's not a vacancy in the county courts of law.
Correct, yeah, right.
The interpreter, the county court of law judges is now.
Vacant, yes, yes.
I think they all get paid the same.
They pay the same, yeah.
But in other words, if we had that salary that wasn't used, what other salaries weren't? And maybe we can look at increasing that so maybe someone will take the job because they have a lot of problems over there with people running around trying to cover all the courts. So if you'll bring that up at the next meeting.
But you would
Okay,
normally use lab salaries for this current fiscal year, right?
Correct,
Yeah, not
yes.
the past. The past goes into fund balance, and the current is what she starts using up as she needs it, pretty much.
Right, because there was no, when the fund balance restrictions were presented for FY '13, there was no request from the court at that point to reserve any of the remaining fund balance for any specific needs. So you would have to use current year funding for that. And I think the judge had sent an email last week, and I'll get with Arnold on it, because I believe, I thought Arnold was going to work with putting that agenda item.
Okay, as long as we get it on, because there's problems over there with the lack of the interpreter, and now with the one that was in the county courts going up, there's going to be no interpreter in the county courts, and that could end up costing us a lot if they just start appointing interpreters.
Right, on a contract, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, approval of minutes, September 12th, 2013, regular meeting, September 26th, 2013, regular meeting, and October 10th, 2013, regular meeting. We ready for the minutes?
I'd like to table.
Okay.
Move the table.
Have a motion to table?
Second.
Have a motion second to table. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item D, consideration action to approve the transfer of one portable building acquired through the Brownsville, the BISD District Interlocal Agreement to the Juvenile Probation Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. I spoke with, a couple of months back, we brought this item in front of the court so we can move, or find a funding source to move the two portable buildings that we acquired in the interlocal with BISD to the county. It was approved pending a funding source. Also, we were trying to find a usage for those two buildings. At the end of that meeting, I met with Chief Ramirez, the Juvenile Probation Department, and he discussed possibly wanting one of those facilities to be used and transferred out to San Benito. I believe David, Mr. Tomlinson's here to talk about that. They're willing to pay for the movement of that portable building to their location. So it just would be required just the court approval to transfer that to Juvenile Department.
There was an issue that one of those portable buildings was going to be moved to Cameron Park.
Right.
To set up a substation for the sheriff, for the constables.
I
Could we
talked.
do this, could they do this simultaneously in that move, rather than having to pay twice to get a move? Is that a possibility?
Morning, Commissioners.
morning.
Excuse me. I don't believe so, because the actual bill is to move from Porter High School to 35 Orange. So that's a one-way ticket, I believe. So I don't know if maybe they can strike some kind of a deal to do that.
Could you tell us what they're going to charge you? Do you know the number?
For us, it's about 2,500 is what they
Okay,
quoted
'cause they
us.
want to charge us $6,000. They were talking about $6,000
Right,
Well, that's for both, though.
for two buildings.
for two buildings. So I
So
guess
maybe we can talk to that same person and, so we still have a funding issue though, for the one for Cameron Park. That was, we were talking about hopefully.
And I met briefly this morning with Javier Mendez from Parks, and there's a possibility of we'll be using for park purposes, but we'll bring that item next Commissioner's Court to see if we can get that squared away. And I'll work with Martha to make sure we get that funding source properly.
That'll be fine.
Move to transfer one to the
Juvenile. Second.
Have a motion second to transfer building.
with
All in-
them paying for the move.
All in
Yes.
favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Good try.
Thanks, man. E for effort. Item E, consideration and approval on a job order contract with Murray Thompson Construction for the construction of a partial wall replacement at the Juvenile Detention Center pursuant to TCPM proposal.
Good morning, Commissioners. There was a problem with this wall at the corner, and that it started cracking. It was looked at a few months back, and there were some different proposals. One was, we didn't feel the lowest proposal was really going to fix the problem, so we had it engineered. We had a design put together, and then we got this proposal. And I know they want it fixed quickly, and so it shouldn't take long once we get started, but the original range of proposals went from a low of 5,000 to a high of 44, and this proposal, I believe, is a little over 29,000.
Are you satisfied with the,
Yes, I'm satisfied, and I'm satisfied with the fact that that the design, that we got an engineered design, and I think it'll be solid, and it's not going to go anywhere. Later on, we may have to address the remainder of the wall, because there's a really long length of wall, but that's not what's at issue right now.
Why did the last one fall? What was the problem?
Well, nothing has fallen yet.
Wow.
There's a
Falter.
There's a large crack in the corner of the masonry wall, and it appears obvious that when it was built, there wasn't enough rebar or grout put in the cells of the CMU, and it was done, I think, back in '98.
And who did that?
I'm not quite sure.
That was before all our times, man.
I was in law school.
Move to approve.
As was I.
Just,
Second.
real quick, on the funding source, the auditor and the juvenile probation department have met, and we are proposing 50% come from juvenile probation, and the other 50% come from the interest earnings on the current COs for 2011. And if, with your permission, if that's what you all want to do, we would.
We got to fix it.
Is that your amendment?
Yes, that's part of the motion.
Second.
Have a first and second to approve this item. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G, discussion possible action soliciting request for the proposal of a hotel complex at South Padre Island Convention Center.
Morning, Judge Pro Tem, Commissioners. I put this item on because I know that there was some discussions in the past, and one just want to get direction whether we would want to prepare an RFP for the hotel at the convention center.
Do you know what the progress has been or will be soon in regards to the renovations at the convention center?
No, I don't. I know that they are. They went out for RFQs for to hire either an engineer or architect for the design, but I'm not sure where they're at right now. They've hired somebody.
There's a resident of South Padre here that may have some information.
Would you mind?
My name's Clayton Brashear, resident, business owner, South Padre Island, Texas. We had a landslide election, elected 2 people last Tuesday evening for 490 vote to 130 against the convention center project. And at last night's meeting, there was a lot of discussion about it, and at the next agenda meeting, there's going to be an item on the agenda to postpone that project. And because we don't feel, a large group of citizens don't feel that it's a viable project for the island.
So they're going to turn it back over to the county, or what's the
No,
issue?
we're going to probably do some updating on it and a little bit of remodeling to get it up to speed as far as the electronics and the video conferencing and stuff, and try to fill it up and use it like it was meant to be, but without spending $25 million.
I think we've answered your question. I would entertain a motion to table this item.
Move to table.
Have a motion and table?
Well, should we table this item or not? That's what they want to do. What do we want to do? I know that across the street from the convention center at, like Sea Garden and those places, there's always a need for room. There's always, one of the biggest complaints that I've gotten since I've been a commissioner is the inadequacy of the current convention center built as is to accommodate, conventions that deal with, 300 to 600 people. And, there's opportunities there. If you go to, last week, I think Arnold is here. Maybe he's not. I know last week we had a meeting at the Embassy Suites in San Marcos that has a combo area that it utilizes for meetings. It accommodates, not the large conventions, but the mid-sized conventions. And, it serves that particular venue very well. That doesn't exist on South Padre currently with accessibility to that type of meeting room facility. Should we look at something?
Yeah, my only concern, Commissioner, is I'm a small businessman, just like you are. I don't believe that the public government should compete with the private. That's what you have the private for, to
Well,
make those
but-
investments.
but I
It's
think-
public land.
Yeah.
At least we'd get some tax revenue if we let somebody else
Yeah,
build it.
but I'm not saying we go out and build it. I'm saying we have property. If Mr. Patel, the new mayor or new alderman, right, or whatever, I mean, if he wants to build another facility there and be a.
That'd be great.
Why can we not exercise something of that sort? Because that facility in San Marcos, and I mentioned that particular one, is one of a few in the state that are public-private partnerships in which the local government has partnered with a private developer, and they've put together that type of facility to bring people into their towns.
It's a great idea, as long as we don't build it ourselves and run it.
No, I don't want.
It's not our, that's not our position,
I
that's
don't
not my
think,
position.
I don't think we want to go there, but I think we ought to explore possibilities to have a partnership with a private developer.
I'll say our bond council was part of that team in San Marcos as well as in Dallas, the Omni and the Convention Center. So if the court would like, I can get them down here and have them give a presentation to the court.
That would be a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, just options to consider. you know?
Well, but I was just thinking, before we do the RFP, maybe we need to figure out what the city's gonna do, or if not, are we gonna take it over? Because, doing an RFP to move in this direction with the uncertainty of what's gonna happen over there, I think maybe might not give us the full optimization that we can get. That's my only concern.
Yeah.
So, maybe an RFP or a study of possibilities.
Or
I don't-
have like that individual come in and look at existing and see what can be incorporated into it, a partnership that involves
I
the
mean,
convention
it's not
center.
gonna cost us anything. They're a bond council already, so I can get them down here and have them make a presentation and then go from there.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Because I've spoken to Mr. Patel, and he does have an interest in doing a public-private partnership, but the right situation, not just,
Right. No, that's what City of Dallas did with the Omni.
Well, let's get him down here, I guess. I don't know, what do you think before we do this?
There's no doubt that with the right mix, you can probably work with the city of South Padre Island, and they would want to, okay, let's do a joint, let the public, the private work with the public. South
Well, where it
Padre
doesn't
Island.
cost them money,
Yeah, exactly,
per
to
se.
expand.
Right.
I think that's the big concern. They don't want to, a good majority of the folks on South Padre don't want to dump a bunch of money into a convention center that's going to do what it did for the last 20 years.
The talk was amongst the business owners is to pay a $200,000 a month bond payment to some gentlemen, some people out in New York City. Instead, let's use our hotel motel tax to create more tourists on the island. Maybe we can put parks and recreation and have more stuff for tourists to do, and that will bring more tourists. The idea of spending $200,000 a month or 30% of our hotel motel tax budget to attract 20%, which are conventions, was ridiculous. Let's spend that money to grow the other 80%, where 20% is a convention business. And out of that convention business, how many of them are small groups that we can accommodate anyway? The hotels have convention facilities, like Mr. Patel does, that attracts them anyway. The South Padre, we're going to compete against, Corpus, McAllen, Dallas, Houston, for the big conventions. You don't have bus lines, you don't have airlines coming down here. We're lacking so much to attract the 10,000, 4,000 people conventions. It's not going to happen. Let's stop with that program and let's try to build up the island.
I don't think that's where we're going with this project.
Well, I just mean,
the whole idea was to attract the 400 to 600 number.
and we're doing that now. That facility
Right.
does that. It's just, we just need to put some new carpet in it, paint it up, and let's fix it up and let's run it and have.
The accessibility to the facility is always a subject of discussion, and I've been at a number and served on a couple of different committees that do site selections into where they're going to have their next convention. And one of the biggest issues that always comes up on South Padre is the going from a hotel to the convention center for a meeting, okay? And going back to the hotel. Everybody wants a facility that is like within walking distance to your meeting. And that's the difference that you find with the corpus issues. I think one of the problems that the McAllen Convention Center has not been as successful as it potentially could be is because it has no anchor place with rooms available close by to it. People stay at the Embassy Suites, and they got to worry about getting bussed over there, going back. They forget a book, they forget a notepad or whatever, a note, like a computer. It's a big issue on transportation. People want convenience. I know that we go, Joe, you go to many conventions, all of us go to conventions. We want to be able to go conduct business in our room at noon while we're having a break and be able to get back to the convention right away. And as is today in South Padre, the convention center is not accessible to a convention goer that wants to be inconvenienced in that way. And like I said, I've served on a number of site selection committees, and they say, well, we don't want to deal with the transportation issue. And that is an issue. Whether the island agrees to it or not, that's an issue. That's something that has to be dealt with. Mr. Patel, with his property across the street, I think is great for it, Unfortunately, the parking is not as good as it could be. Your facility is great. Again, the parking is an issue when you have a major event. Developing a complex there that would allow people to go to your place and go back to a hotel within walking distance as you have now. I think it's a great amenity to have.
I agree with you. It might not be the best facility or location, but as you get to larger conventions, I got back to the ADA Dental Conference in New Orleans this past weekend with Tara Rios. And we stayed at the Sheraton, and there was buses every 10 minutes that took you down to the convention. There was thousands and thousands of dentists in every hotel, the whole place. If you had a toothache, you could stop on the corner and get your tooth fixed down there. There was a lot of people. And we're not going to hold those big conventions. There's not enough airlines coming into this valley to do it. We get what we get. We can't even keep Bike Fest
Again,
down
I don't
here.
think we're talking about those conventions. I'm talking about what goes to San Marcos instead of South Padre.
We can get the little ones, and we do get them. We do get the 1,000 people, but there has to be a lot more to do on the island to keep them, to attract them down here, not just a big facility. But you got to look at it as a business standpoint. Would you and I partner? Let's say you gave us the convention center. You and I, let's go and build a hotel, and let's try to rent the rooms and make it work. I would run from that business plan all day long. We're too seasonal. We're going to lose money. It's not on the beach. You can go round and round with that hotel. It's very dangerous. We're getting businesses boarded up on the island right now.
I think the idea is to get away from the seasonal if we can have a large enough venue. Because what happens is in the fall, in the wintertime, if you're going to go to a convention anywhere in the U.S., you probably want to go where it's warmer, not as cold. And so the South is a draw. Unfortunately, I think because we don't have that ability, we don't draw down here. And some of those bigger conventions, I think we could have a draw where maybe our hotel can accommodate maybe 400, 500 rooms, but you have a convention for 2,000 or 3,000 people, you're going to need other hotels, and I think that's where the local businesses will benefit, where you have your anchor, but you're also going to have overflow hotels to accommodate a large group.
If the county would float some bonds and build a $50 million hotel and convention center, the people of the island would welcome it.
Well, that's
with open arms.
Well, we're not talking about floating bonds. We're talking a public-private partnership, okay? We're talking about if there is that opportunity to do something of that sort, why should we not explore it? And I think that's where, we're not saying we're going to float bonds. We're not saying we're going to borrow money or put the public in debt. We're saying, if there is an opportunity, we should explore it, to the benefit of you guys, because you're going to be the most benefited of all. Every business owner on South Padre Island.
Right. I would just look at the business plan first before you get into the
Well, we'll
bonds
let a private
and stuff.
investor worry about that,
Well,
If it's not lucrative to a private investor, they're not going to join
They ain't gonna do
the
it.
public-private enterprise.
How many have been knocking down the door the last 20 years and approaching you to build hotels on the island? How many? They'd be calling you, hey, you got the land. Is your phone ringing off the hook now?
Yes, Javier.
We've had a few.
Yeah.
Where are they? Show me the money. I
We
mean,
haven't put up a proposal out.
but have they contacted you? Hey, we
Yes.
want to build a hotel. I mean,
Yes.
then bring them on. Let them
Yeah.
bring the proposal to you.
Yeah. Well, we have to be willing to accept one before they can bring
You
it.
can
to us.
listen to it. I mean, I hope they do. The more hotels, the better for everybody.
Yep.
If they're full.
Thank you very much. What are the wishes of the commission?
I think that we should ask that bond counsel to give us a presentation at a later date when he can arrange it and we can look at it, at possibilities.
I second that.
Well, that's not the item.
I know.
Let's just
So we table this.
acknowledge.
So we table
yeah,
them
let's,
until we get the
that, and we'll put it off to the next
presentation.
agenda. David, can you get that for us, please? Item G, I need a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Garza, seconded by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item I, discussion possible approval to amend contract number 2013C01025 with Verdejo Enterprises to include a third office location at the process registration and title work to be, is that the one in Olmito? Tony?
Yes, sir. This is, we're just amending the existing contract that we have with the partnership, and they're willing to add another location in the Olmito area.
I understand they're going very well. They're doing, you know.
Yes.
Is that the lady that's out here on South
On
Mall?
South Most, they have,
Yes.
that's the original one that was approved by the court about a year and a half ago, and the second location in Harlingen on Grimes Street, and now they want to.
Move to approve.
Yeah. I had a motion to approve by
Second.
Commissioner Garza, seconded by Commissioner
Thank you.
Sanchez.
One question, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Is this in any way, shape, or form affecting your revenues in the other offices?
Oh, no, the revenues come into the,
Regardless.
whatever they collect, we get.
You get.
Yes, no,
It's
no.
their fee that they deal with.
There's an additional
So-
fee that if the individual wants to pay an additional $5 not to stand in line, that's, but no, to answer your
It
question,
does
it's
not
not
affect your
affecting
revenues at
any
all.
revenues for the county or the state.
Good.
Basically, it's been an issue of conveniencance for people to be able to
This
get
is
their
just
plates
a
after
convenience
hours,
partnership,
weekends.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of,
Yeah,
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that.
yes, yes.
have a motion to second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item J, consideration and action to utilize bond issue monies 2011 for a pole and street light connection in Cameron Park at 2722 Gregory Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, I put this item on the agenda. We've had some neighbors in this particular subdivision request a light. We do have money in the bond issue from 2011.
And they're gonna pay the electric bill?
It's part of of course they pay it. It doesn't come, that money is collected, is paid out of their taxes, their annual tax
Yeah.
assessments.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second to approve. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item K, consideration and authorization to amend license agreement between Cameron County Parks and Recreation and Clayton's Beach Bar and Grill and with Affiliate Hospitality LLC.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second to approve this item. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Executive session. I need a
Move to
motion.
go into
Second.
executive.
Have a motion second to go into executive session to discuss item A. Let's see what this is. Section 551071, item B, same section. Item C, tabled. Item D, same section. Item F, 551072. Section F, 551071. Item G, 551071. Okay. They asked us to table this before, so we're not gonna talk about table C. Can we discuss it? I take that back. We're not gonna table C. It'd be item 551.071, the Mr. Polsky issue.
We're not gonna table?
No. She wants to discuss it.
Bruce needs to discuss this, what I've been told.
Okay. Excuse us.